Hey, it's April 25th. It's the perfect date here on Claibs Online. It's Daily Cards Live, presented by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. Rammer Cardinals Mets tonight. Max Scherzer on the mound. It's going to be a fun one down at Busch. The Cardinals back for the first time in, 12 days?
Yeah, it's interesting. The Mets are an interesting club. Everybody was on them early, and it looks like they're right. I was wondering a little bit, especially when DeGrom got hurt, but Scherzer's better than ever. DeGrom will come back. Their lineup, if not great, certainly is darn good. And the key to that has been the reemergence of Francisco Lindor, who was awful last year. I mean, atrocious. But he looks like he's back to being the guy that commanded the big contract, hitting third. And if he's as good as he was in Cleveland, the Mets are absolutely legit.
We'll get those lineups for both sides for you in just a second, but a quick look back on what the Cardinals did this weekend. Hey, you know what? Ali Marmol went for the sweep yesterday, and you know what? Hey, you could play the Pirates and the Reds 162 games a year. You're not going to go 162-0. It just didn't happen for the Cardinals yesterday. They lose the game, and they fail to sweep the Reds, who also snapped a very long losing streak. You don't want to have a double-digit losing streak in the month of April. That's just, you don't want to have that.
Digging a hole.
We recorded today an episode of the Joe West podcast with Mark Grace.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the 1996 season when the Cubs started off like 0-14. And he's like, you know what? He goes, 10 of my 13 years there, we were out of it by Mother's Day. He goes, it's just not fun when you're doing that. And, that's kind of where the Reds are right now.
Yeah, and everybody, I think appropriately, were ripping them and the Rockies and the Pirates. The Pirates are finding a way to not be good, but compete. And the Rockies are winning. The Rockies are winning ball games. And a guy who is killing it for them is Randall Grichuk, a former Cardinal. So, it is funny. So you say, why do I bring that up? Because just because you rebuild doesn't mean you have to be awful. And the way the Reds went about it, I just don't get. It didn't make any sense. It still doesn't. And the way they play is exactly what you thought would happen. Well, actually, they're worse than what I thought they'd be. And and then when, we talked about it a week or so ago when their owner on their home opening day talked about, well, where are you fans going to go? And, kind of let them eat cake kind of thing. It's just it's kind of an ugly aura around that club right now.
Well, about 13, 14 more games against that team this year, and the Pirates too, including the last 6 games of the season. So, hey, You know what? It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch when you're the team that's just feasting off of those bad teams. I saw MLB.com. I don't know how much stock you put into things like this, but MLB.com came out with their power rankings earlier today. Cardinals ranked number 5 in the power rankings. So they are getting the attention they probably rightfully deserve with this nice start where they are beating up on the bad teams and taking the games. They're splitting the series with the Brewers up in Milwaukee, and now they come home. They take on the Mets tonight. It is a battle of 2 of the 3 best teams right now in the National League.
When you mention the top 5, I think the Mets are 3 and the Cardinals 5, and you talk about, well, what are the Cardinals doing? They're pitching. Their pitching's better than people thought, and their hitting, not so great right now. From the start of the season till now, you've got only 2 guys hitting, Arenado and Edman. But Goldschmidt and Carlson have both picked it up a little bit the last few days. So hopefully that production in the lineup starts to lengthen out a little bit. And it's going to be tough to see it start tonight. But overall, you'd like to see that happen.
Well, we'll see what the game plan is for the Cardinals going against the Mets tonight. We do have roster news for you, but first, let's get those lineups your way. Here's how the Cardinals will line up against Max Scherzer. and the Mets. Tommy Edman leads off again, playing second base. Paul Goldschmidt at first. Tyler O'Neill is in left. Nolan Arenado in third. Corey Dickerson DHing. Dylan Carlson in right. And Mundo Sosa at short. Yadier Molina behind the plate. And Harrison Bader is in center field. For the Mets, they lead off with Brandon Nimmo. He is in center field. Starling Marte is in right. Francisco Lindor, previously mentioned, is at short. Pete Alonso is at first. Eduardo Escobar at third. Robinson Cano DHing. Mark Canha is in left field. Jeff McNeil is at second. And Tomas Nido is behind the plate catching for the Mets. So Nimmo in center leading off. Nido behind the plate batting ninth for the Mets. You talk about that lineup and you look right there. Starling Marte is a guy who, when he started off his career in Pittsburgh with the Pirates, you were like, this guy's going to be something special. This guy has all the tools there to be a really good player. You saw flashes of it when he was with Pittsburgh. Not much really seemed to come of it. He's been kicked around a little bit, I think, when it was in Arizona for a bit before now coming to the Mets, and you see they're putting him right at the top of the lineup there. And Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, you're not going to find a better 3-4 in a lineup in baseball than what the Mets have right there.
I think I like Marte a little better than you did. Towards the end in Pittsburgh, his legs started to go a little bit. He wasn't quite the center fielder he was earlier, and then he started to move around. But he's contributed. You know, when the A's made a run last year, they picked him up. Him and I think it was Josh. Was it Josh Harrison? Anyway,
yes,
they picked him up, and Marte was huge for them to try and make a run. The whole lineup sort of petered out. But I think Marte's in a spot now that's good for him at his age. You don't need him to be a star. You need him to be a pro and just be productive. Take his role and be productive. Hitting second, I think he's going to be good for the Mets.
You when you look at the Cardinals lineup, we talked about the 3-4 that the Mets have. Nolan Arenado continues his hot hitting. 2 weeks into the season, by the way, he lost out. Cody Bellinger was named your NL MV or NL Player of the Week for last week. So Nolan Arenado only had that for the first week, not a back-to-back winner. Do you wonder when they might toy with the idea of moving Arenado up to that 3 spot? As long as he's hot, why not continue to get him as many at-bats as possible, and just moving him up one in the lineup will get him just up there a little sooner and maybe with some guys on base?
The reason I think is because they want to keep O'Neill in that rocking chair between Goldie and Arenado. I think that's the reason.
And and to I guess counterpoint my own argument here, once O'Neill figures it out, once O'Neill gets hot, you have his speed on the bases in front of Arenado, to where he's able to score from first on balls in the gap too. So it does make sense that way. With Carlson being moved down the lineup, I'm a little surprised too. They're sticking with Dickerson there in that 5 spot.
I would have flipped them. In fact, I expected Carlson to be 5th tonight. I don't get that. But it's only 1 slot in the lineup. It's not a huge deal, I don't think.
The Cardinals did make a roster move earlier today as they sent Lars Nootbaar down to AAA, calling up Brendan Donovan, who will make his major league debut the first time he steps onto the field at Busch Stadium in a game. Donovan, one of those guys that you thought might have made the roster at the start of the season out of spring training, and they chose Nootbaar over him. I don't think there's anything that Nootbaar has done that has really justified sending him down. In fact, I'm a little surprised they made the move, just because with Bader struggling early in the season, Nootbaar was the only other guy on that roster that can play center field.
Well, both Carlson and O'Neill have, but not certainly accomplished like the other guys. I think they really like Donovan in the spring. He's done a real nice job at Memphis, a good on-base percentage, good batting average. Not a ton of power in Memphis, although he leads them with 3 doubles. I think they like the at-bats he was taking at Memphis. Only struck out 8 times and walked 8 times. That's a really good ratio. And Nootbaar, he was just swinging and missing. And they knew, and I think what it tells me is they really like Nootbaar, and they want him to start playing every day. And and getting some reps and getting back to where he was comfortable at the plate. So I think that's what that is. And it'll better allow them to give Arenado and Goldschmidt a day, if not completely off. They could DH and have Donovan play first or third. And I think that, in fact, I'm surprised he wasn't in the lineup today. Maybe they didn't want to say, welcome to the big leagues. Here's Max Scherzer. That would have been tough. But I think him rotating in at first and third to give the veterans some days off with their legs is probably something we'll see really soon.
You saw yesterday, looking at the bullpen for the Cardinals going into the series, TJ McFarland should, got 6 outs for the team yesterday, but should be nice and fresh. 6 outs, Rammer, 10 pitches.
It's crazy, isn't it? Talk about efficiency. And they're starting to figure out slots in the bullpen. And I think that'll evolve. Actually, that's always evolving. But I think they'll start to figure out who they can trust in certain situations, and it's starting to stratify a little bit.
It is. You saw Woodford make an appearance yesterday at the end of the game and was able to have a clean inning for him. But you saw Palante again. It looks like they're starting to trust him more and more as they build that bullpen. A lot of arms out there that Marmol has to work with and to work around his trust. I did not look. I can look it up or try to look it up quickly here to see what the over-under is on Max Scherzer strikeouts for today against this team, which, as we mentioned last week, does not strike out a whole lot, but you're going up against one of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball.
I'll say 12, and I'll set it at 12.5.
Ooh. I'm going to have to look that up. Do you think, you think that's the over? Under? I would go under with that. I would definitely go under with that. Yes, Max Scherzer strikeouts. It is 6.5 is what they set the over under at.
Oh, you're all over. There's no way that's under. Assuming he doesn't come out early, there's no way that's under.
Yeah, I think I'd go with the over on that one. That's 6.5.
The issue could be, do the Cardinals work him and he gets a ton of pitches in and only goes 5? Yeah, then my 12.5 is silly. But if he gives you 7 innings, it means he's probably dealing. And if he goes 7, he'll crush that 5.5, probably double it up.
The the total for the game today over under is 6.5. That also seems a little high when you look at who's pitching on the mound.
Total
runs.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless they don't like the Michaelis against the Mets lineup. But probably the under, probably a 3-2 game is about right. 4-1. Yeah.
I'll take, you know what? Yesterday's game was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I could see today's game also going pretty fast as well. One more thing I'll ask you on your thoughts on betting wise. 3 righties in this series against the Mets. Does Albert Pujols get a start in this series?
Yeah, Ollie Marmol talked about yesterday's pitcher. I forgot his name, but that he liked the pitcher splits, meaning that there wasn't a big discrepancy between righty and lefty, and that's picking and choosing stats. Stats are what you make of them. I can find a stat to almost prove any argument. You say, well, the pitcher's splits favored Pujols. Well, Pujols splits didn't favor it. And so I think him against right-handed pitching, unless something dramatic happens soon, those days are going to go bye-bye. And I think, does he start one game this series? Probably. But if he wants to see more right-handers, he better start hitting them. He's 2 for what? 2 for 21 or something like that.
Yeah, his big numbers have definitely come against Southpaws so far this season. Enjoy the game tonight. Early start time, 6:45 start time down at Busch Stadium. 3 against the Mets, 4 against the Diamondbacks this week. So 7 straight days of baseball down at Busch Stadium.
Can you take 5 out of 7?
You know what? Hey, that's a 4-game sweep out of the Diamondbacks. So why not go 6 out of 7 and take another series against the Mets? Lose tonight and then go on a 6-game winning streak. How's that sound?
I'll go 5.
Hey, we're brought to you each and every day by Munganast St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri, Rammer.
Royal Banks, where better service means better banking. And, they keep telling us rates are going to go up a lot soon. Talk to Royal Banks right now, whether you're in Northeast Missouri, across the river in Granite and Jerseyville, or right here in St. Louis. Royal Banks of Missouri, 314-212-1500. Get pre-approved for that new mortgage or the refi right now at Royal Banks.
Claibs and I will be live tomorrow from Munganast Alton Toyota for the lunch show. Come on by and say hi. Rammer and I will have another edition of Daily Cards Live tomorrow afternoon. Until then, enjoy the games tonight. For Bob Ramsey, I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Daily Cards Live on ClaibsOnline.com.
At St. Louis Acura, we have over 330 pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. And all of them are covered by our St. Louis Acura Promise and backed by our Better Business Bureau A+ rating and 30 years in business. We also service all makes and models of vehicles, including glass and bumper repair, paint touch-ups, and full mechanical services from one of our 24 technicians. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you, no matter what vehicle drives you.